Okay. So that's really finishing up the last sugya. So Mishlama Rabbi Meir works out well according to Rabbi Meir, who says you always need one for the one-time kiddush yadayim v'raglayim for removing the previous garments and putting on the next garments. So asara kiddushin. That's why. That's how we'll find that there are 10 times that you're mekadosh yadav raglav during the day, and that's the Masar. That's how the Gemara is going to say. That's the Masar that we have. You have to have 5 tevilos, 5 times going to the mikvah, 10 times washing your hands and feet in the kiyar. So El Rabbanan Tishav, according to Rabbanan, you only have 9. You don't have the first one. That's the machlekes. So Gemara says, Amen lecha Rabbanan will tell you Kiddusha Basra. You'll have the last time you wash your hands and feet together. Kipashit Bigdei Kodesh V'Lavish Bigdei Chol Avidei Hasam. When you remove the Bigdei Kodesh at the end of the Yom Kippur service, so you're going home, so you take off the Bigdei Kodesh, put on the Bigdei Chol, and that's when you do the last
10th one.
The 10th one. According to so that's according to Rabbi Meir. According to Rabbanan, according to Rabbi Meir, you wouldn't have that one. Okay. Because he only says you put on, you only do Kiddush Yadayim V'Raglayim when you are putting on Bigdei Kodesh. When you're going from Bigdei Kodesh to Bigdei Chol, then you don't need a Kiddush Yadayim V'Raglayim according to Rabbi Meir. So that's the discrepancy. The first one according to Rabbi Meir you'll have, and the last one according to Rabbanan you'll have. So, okay. So now we start.
There's 10 according to both.
Yeah, okay. According to both, the question is, you missed one at the beginning, you missed one at the end. So that's the question. Okay, so now we go on to Tanu Rabbanan, going into the now we go more in depth into the Yom Kippur Avodah. Uvar el Oihel Moed Lama Huba. Why is this pasuk coming? I mean, why did he come? And the question is because the pasuk doesn't say what he did there. So Gemara says, so he only came in to remove the kaf and the machta which he used for the kataris in the Kodesh Kodashim. He left Bein Habadim. Okay, in the Kodesh Kodashim. So
how does he get out of there? How does he get it out of there?
Well, you'll have to go in.
Yeah? I thought he only went in Yom Kippur.
I mean, it still is Yom Kippur.
I thought it's at the end of the day.
No.
Why did he leave it?
It's part of the Avodah.
When does
what's
it
the reason for all
on Yom Kippur at the end of the day? Or?
No, so we're getting into that, exactly when it was. Yeah. So the Gemara will describe exactly. The Gemara will get into specifics soon. Yeah. So Vichol or Shekol HaParsha Kula Nimra Ala Seder, and then so Chusni Pasuk said the entire Torah said in order of the avodah except for this pasuk. Because the Torah actually put together all the avodas pinim, all the avodas inside the heichal together, all the avodas that he's wearing big day at Lavan. Even though, in fact, there is actually a break between this one and the last one. So this pasuk is actually out of order, but the Torah just placed it here to put all the avodas that you're wearing big day Lavan together. Okay, so my timer. So why, in fact, wasn't all the advice done together? Why didn't the Kohen Gadol remove the kaf and the machta already when he was inside? Why does he have to go back? So I'm Rav Chisda because we have a tradition, we have a Masara. Chamesh tevilos v'asar kedushin tayvel Kohen Gadol umkadesh b'bayim 10. There are 5 tevilos, 5 times going to the mikvah, and 10 times washing your hands and feet together in the kiyar. The Kohen Gadol was tayvel that day and was mekadesh that day. V'kasidron, and if the Kohen Gadol will do the avodah in the order of the psukim, you're only going to have 3 tevilos and 6 kiddushin, because the Gemara is going to go through the order, and Rashi gives you a quick summary. It says first you did the Tamid wearing big day zav, then you went inside the Kodesh Kodashim to mean the Ketairis, and and then he goes outside to bring his aisle and the aisle of the people, and then he goes back inside to take out the kaf and the machta, and then he goes back outside to finish off the avodah. So that's going inside and outside. So you have to. There's 5 different first wearing Big Day Zav, outside and go inside wearing Big Day Lavan, then go back outside wearing Big Day Zav, go back inside to bring out the Kaf and the Machta, and then go back outside and you switch again. So that's 4 times you're changing clothing, but every time you go into the clothing, you go out. So every time you change into clothing, you go to the mikveh once. So that's 5 times. So, but if you did all the avodah inside, so you'd be wearing Big Day Zav, and then you switch to Big Day Lavan, and then you just go back to Big Day Zav. You, if you just go inside once and then leave, you won't need 5 times. All you need is 3 times. If you only wear the Big Day Lavan once.
You have to put Big Day Zav on when you go to get the ladle again. So
Big Day Lavan on.
Lavan.
Yeah. When you go inside the Heichel, when you go inside the Kodesh Kodashim, you wear the
Kodesh Kodashim, you wore the
Big Day Lavan, the linen ones, Right, so
Yesterday would have been finished.
right. Right. Good. So Tanya related in Brisa, Amar Yehuda, Minayin lechamesh tevilas v'asar kedushin. We didn't know that the 5 tevilas and 10 times Mekaysh Yadav Raglav, Shetayvel Kohen Gadol, Mekaysh Bayt. Would we know that it was 5 times tevilah and 10 times Kishadayim V'Raglayim? And the so Tamar so we the pasuk comes to teach us Uva Arayin El Oyel Moed Uva Shadas Big Day Habad. The pasuk, this is in Chaim, pasuk Chaf Gimel. It says that Aaron will go into the oil mite and remove the linen garments, and he'll wash his he'll rachas b'sarei. He'll wash his flesh. Literally means go to the mikvah in water, and rachas b'sarei b'mayim b'makom kadosh. And then he'll go to the mikvah, v'lavashes begadav, and he'll put on the clothing, v'yatsa v'asa, and he'll go out and he'll do the avodah. This is when he's going out of the Kodesh Kodashim, going in and going back into his Big Day Zav. So, so we see from here that if you change from one avodah to another avodah, you need to go to the mikvah. So, and there's 5 times entering in avodah. So therefore you need 5 times going to the mikvah. And that's how we know going to the mikvah 5 times. That's Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi says, Minayin lechamesh tevilas v'asar kedushin neshatayvel kohen gadol u'mekayish bayim. Where do we know the kohen gadol needs again 5 tevilas and 10 kedushin? And so he uses a different pasuk. Shenemar kisonis bad kodesh yilbash u'mechnas evad yu al bisarai. You'll have a kisonis bad, a kisonis of linen, and he'll put on, and a mechse evad, and a pants of linen. It'll be you al besari. He'll have a bad yachor. He'll tighten it with a linen belt. He'll be nefes bad yisnaif and cover himself with a linen hat. Or turban. So Big Day Kodesh Haim. It was Big Day Kodesh v'rachas b'mayim es besari ul veisham, and you'll wash your flesh with water. Go to the mikvah and wear them. So and this is when you. So in fact, Rabbi Huda's pasuk is when you are taking off the Big Day Lavan and putting on the Big Day Zav. And this pasuk is when you're putting on the Big Day Lavan. So halamata, we learn from here, shekola meshana me'avodah lavodah ta'un tvila. Okay, so when you're going from one avodah to another avodah, you need tvila. Ve'omer Big Day Kodesh Haim, and it says Big Day Kodesh, calls them Big Day Kodesh. Pukshu kola begadim kulan zel lezeh. They're makish all the begadim to each other. And the Rishash takes this out because, in fact, it really belongs later in the Gemara. They're going to bring this pasuk down again. Okay, just to prove that if you're changing from, because this pasuk tells you when you're going into Big Day Lavan, you need a tevilah. When you're switching back, how do you know you need a tevilah also? So that they're going to bring down the end of this pasuk. So in fact, it really comes later. Okay, so v'chamesh avodos hein, and there are 5 avodos. Tamid shel shachar, Big Day Zav. So here's the quick synopsis of the days of avodah. You did the Tamid shel shachar. That's the first avodah in the day. Is after Trum Sedeshin is the Tamid. You do it in the Big Day Zav. Avodas hayom. Then you do avodas hayom inside the Heichel, inside the Kodesh Kodashim. B'videi Lavan, then you wear the B'videi Lavan. Eloi ve'el ha'am, the ram, his ram that he for kapara, and the ram of the nation in the Big Zav, that's outside. The heichal kaf umachta b'videi Lavan. Then he goes back inside to take out the kaf and the machta that he left there, being habadim, and tamid shal bein arbaim b'videi Zav, and then he goes out and finishes the avoda in the Big Zav. That's the tamid shal bein arbaim. That's the 5 different steps in general, without getting into the specifics. So uminayin shekol tvila utvila sricha shnei kedushin. So okay, so now we know according to Rabbi Huda, we know according to Rabbi that you need 5 times going to the mikvah. What do you know that each tvila needs 2 kedushin, once before, once after? So Talmud Leimer ufashat verachatz velavash. So Pasuk says ufashat es big day habad, and then the next pasuk starts off verachatz es bisrai, and then it says velavash es bigadav. So the Josh is ufashat, and then afterwards it says verachatz, and then after verachatz it says velavash. So we say the verachatz is going back on the ufashat, and it's also going forward on the velavash, to tell you that each time when you're removing, you need a rechitza, and when you are putting on, you need a rechitza. Now keep in mind that Rabbi Yehuda, in fact, understood verachatz in this pasuk referring to going to the mikvah, not kirsut daim v'reglaim. Yeah. So, in fact, Rabbi Yehuda will have to learn a different Joshua. Where do you know the kirsut daim v'reglaim? Because he says this verachatz is speaking about going to the mikvah. This is how Rabbi learned it, though. So Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon, Aimer, he learns a different pasuk. In fact, the Gemara is going to say that Rabbi Huda actually goes with Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon, because he doesn't use his pasuk, because he had already used his pasuk to teach you going to the mikvah. So he says kal v'chaymer to kal v'chaymer umah b'malkaim she'ein ton tvila ton kiddush, that throughout the rest of the year, even when you do not need to go to the mikvah, you still need to wash your hands and feet in the kier, to enkash your hands and feet. So malkam sheton tvila. So over here, Yom Kippur, when every avoda, every time you change clothing, you need a tvila, ein odin. Of course, sheton tvila, kiddush. Sorry, of course you need kiddush daim v'reglaim. So Gemara says ima lahalo and kiddush.
It seems to mean that is a higher kedusha than
going to mikvah. Yeah, for sure, going to mikvah is a higher kedusha.
Going to the mikvah is higher.
Yeah.
So then how does the kal v'chomer?
If on a usual daily basis, where you don't need to go to the mikvah, but still you need kiddush daim v'reglaim. So where you need a higher level of going to the mikvah, so of course you also need kiddush daim v'reglaim.
That would
meaning it's not really more chomer or less. It's more of like it's a more common. I mean, since for itself, you always need it. Meaning, for every avoda, you always need kiddush daim v'reglaim. So
it's a holier day, so for sure you have to do both of them.
But if you did mikvah already, why do you have to do kiddush?
It's
that's the other side, I guess.
They're not talking about. They're not talking about tefillah. They're talking about different concepts.
The way to say it is I don't know, more kosher, less kosher. I guess the more basic level of the minimum which you always need is the kiddush daim v'reglaim. Meaning, and the
wear socks on a warm day, all the more so you can wear socks on a cold day.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
that makes sense.
Right. Meaning, we're never taking away from avoda. We're always going to be adding on to them, going to add on to the kedusha that you need. So. Okay, so Gemara says, "Ima lahalan kiddush echad, afkan kiddush echad." If so, that over there all you need is one kiddush, meaning the rest of the year all you need is one kiddush daim v'reglaim. So here too, maybe you only need one. Talmud Leimer pasuk says, "Uva Aaron el oihel mayid uva shadas big day habada shelavash." That Aaron will come to the oil mayid and remove the big day, the linen garments which he was wearing. So Talmud Leimer asher lavash. Why? What is the pasuk coming to teach us that he was wearing? Does a person ever take off except for what he's wearing? Right? It's redundant. To be makish pshita to levisha, removing clothing to wearing it. Ma levisha ton kiddush, pshita ton kiddush. Just like when you are donning the clothing, you're putting on the clothing, so you need Kiddush Yadayim Reglaim. So too, when you're removing the clothing, you also need Kiddush Yadayim Reglaim, washing the hands and feet together in the Kiyar. Okay, so Amar Rabbi Yehuda, so that's where he knows it from, and that's where Rabbi Yehuda is going to learn from also, as the Gemara will say later. So Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Minayin Lachamesh Tevilas Vasar Kedushin Shatayvel Kain Gadol Umkayish Baybayim. So now we focus on Rabbi Yehuda's Joshua, that he said there's 5 Tevilas and there's 10 Kedushin. Where do we know it from? Talmud Lamer, as he said before, Ba'arin El Oyal Moyed V'Rechatzis B'Sarai B'Mayim B'Malkam Kodesh, and a Kohen will go to the Oyal Moyed and he will wash his flesh. He will go to the mikvah and in the Malkam Kodesh. Right, as we said before also, we said this all before, that whenever you change from one avodah to another avodah, you need to go to the mikvah. So Ashkechan Big Day Love and Big Day Zav. This pasuk, if you will notice, says Avorin El Oyal Maid when he's leaving the Kodesh Kadashim, he's leaving the Heichal. So it's going from his Big Day Love to Big Day Zahav. So we know there you need you need to go to the mikvah. However, maybe Big Day Zav, the Big Day Lavan, and Minayin, where do we know when you're going from Big Day Zav to Big Day Lavan that you need a Tevilah? So Tanan Devei Rabbi Shmuel, it's taught in the Yeshiva Rabbi Shmuel, Kal V'Chaimer, it's a Kal V'Chaimer, Ma Big Day Zav, Shein Koyein Nichnas Behem Lifnai V'Lifnim, Ta'un Tevilah. Just like we find by the Big Day Zav, which on a lower level of Kedusha, that a Kohen Gadol cannot go into the Kodesh Kodashim with them, and still we need a Tevilah. Going from Big Day Lavan, the higher level to a lower level, you need a Tevilah. So Big Day Lavan, Shenichus Behen Lefnei V'Lifnim, Eino Din Shetal and Tevilah. So when you're going from lower level, from Big Day Zav to Big Day Lavan, which you're saying is higher Kedusha, you go inside the Kodesh Kodashim. So of course you need the Tevilah. So Gwar says, no, you could ask a question. Mala Big Day Zav, Shekein Kaparasa Miru, but they're I guess qualitatively they're on a lower level, but all year there's so much more done with them. You get so much more kabar through the Big Days off. So in fact, Rabbi Yehuda will have to use the pasuk of Rabbi also of Kesonis Bad Kodesh Yilbash, because the pasuk that Rabbi used is speaking about going from Big Day Zahav to Big Day Lavan. So we need both pasukim. Okay, so that's the Joshua of Rabbi Yehuda. Now we focus on Rabbi. Amar Rabbi, minayin lechamish tevilos vasar kedushin shetayvel kohen gadol mchayish baybayim. Where do you know that he needs 5 tevilos and 10 kedushin? The day of Yom Kippur, Talmud Lemer, Kesonis Bad Kodesh Yilbash. He'll put on linen garments, and Pasuk says he'll go to the mikvah there. So whenever we switch from avodah to avodah, you need tevilah. So again, so this is in reverse. The Big Day Lavan. This pasuk is referring to going from Big Day Zav to Big Day Lavan. So fine, we know you need to go to the mikvah when he's switching into Big Day Lavan. The Big Day Lavan, the Big Day Zav, minayin. Where do we know when you switch from Big Day Lavan to Big Day Zahav, they need to go to the mikvah? So Tanan Devei Rabbi Yishmael, as we said before, Kal V'Chaimer, it's a Kal V'Chaimer, Ma Big Day Lavan, but this is actually in reverse. Ma Big Day Lavan, She'ein Kaparasa Meruba, and their kapara is not as much. You do very little avodah with them. So Tu'unin Tevilah, you need to go to the mikvah. So Big Day Zav, She'ein Kaparasa Meruba, that you do much more avodah. So in adin to unin tevilah, of course you need to go to the mikvah. So Gemara says, no, because you could ask the question also in reverse. Mala Big Day Lavan sheki nichnas behen lifnai v'lifnim. Big Day Lavan are much holier that you go inside the Kodesh Kodashim with them. So you can't have a Kal V'Chaimer. So Gemara says, Hanun diktani. In fact, so Rabbi will tell you that's what it says. That's why Rabbi taught V'Aymer, and he said, Big Day Kodesh Haim, that the pasuk says, Big Day Kodesh Haim, and V'chatzis B'Sarai Ba'Mayim Ulveisham, and the pasuk is really out of order, the Rishash changes it. It's really Ba'Mayim Es B'Sarai Ulveisham. So, and the pasuk there is, and the words there are actually Big Day Kodesh Haim. Why is it coming to teach us that? So as the Gemara really said before, Rishash took it out and really says it's over here, that the words are extra to teach you that every time you're going from one big day kodesh to another big day kodesh, where he said before, makish all the big day kodesh together, that just like when you're putting on one big day kodesh, in this case when you're putting on the big day zav, so you need a tefillah, so too when you're putting on big day love, and you also need a tefillah, they're all called big day kodesh. Hey, okay, so that's where we know it from. So, and then we continue with Rebbe's statement. There are 5 avodas: Tamid Shal Shachar, Big Day Zav, avodas Hayayim, and Big Day Lavan. So again, the Tamid Shal Shachar is Big Day Zav. The days avodah, the Yom Kippur avodah, the Ktaris inside is with the Big Day Lavan. Eloi ve'el ha'am, Big Day Zav. His ram and the ram of the Bnei Yisrael, the people, is with Big Day Zav. Kafu Machta, Big Day Lavan. You go back inside, take out the Kafu Machta, that's Big Day Lavan. And Tamid Shal Bein Arbaim, Big Day Zav. And then the Tamid Shal Bein Arbaim is with Big Day Zav. Okay. So
each time he's changing,
yes,
he's changing into a new set of clothing, or
I think
ones
the
that he
old,
had previously?
I think the ones he had previously.
Yeah.
I think so.
But not from another year. Every year you had
Yeah.
new
You're right. Yeah,
Every-
one set of
every year's
gold,
news.
one set of
Yeah.
for Yom Kippur.
Yeah, I think it's the same.
If they got dirty when he did something previously,
Yeah.
You have a backup. You had a backup.
Then yeah, for sure. You don't need to change your clothing. Yeah, for sure. Because every if you're wearing, you can't do the Vayt wearing dirty clothing. Right. That's true. So uminayin shekol tvila tzricha beis kedushin. And where do we know that every tvila needs 2 kedushin? Talmud Omer uflashat v'rachatz v'lavash. V'rachatz v'lavash. So Gemara says, so high bet tvila ksiv. So in fact, Rabbi Huda uses for tvila. In fact, the pasuk says v'rachatz es bisarai, and v'rachatz es bisarai refers to tvila. So Gemara says because the main in tvila. The Naftali the kodesh heim Taneu Indian lekidush. So he says because the Torah didn't have to tell us this because we already knew it from Big Day Kodesh heim, and as Rabbi said before, from the as Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says from a Kal V'Chaimer. So if so, we use them for. Not Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Rabbi Shimon. Sorry, it's Rabbi's drasha of Big Day Kodesh heim. So, Tanei Indian the Kiddush, so use it for Kiddush. Okay, the pasuk is extra, so we use it to tell you that you need Kiddush Adayim V'Reglayim. So, V'lichta V'Rachmana B'Lashon Kiddush, so why didn't it just say you do as Kiddush? Why V'Rachatz as B'Srari Ulvish? So, Hakamash Malan, the Tvila Ki Kiddush, it comes to teach us that Tvila is like Kiddush. Ma Kiddush Makayim Kadosh, after Tvila Makayim Kadosh, just like Tvila, the Kiddush Adayim V'Reglayim is in the Kiros and B'Makayim Kadosh. So too, the tefillah has to be in a Makayim Kadosh. It's a special mikvah that the Kohen Gadol had. But in fact, the first tefillah of the day did not have to be in Makayim Kadosh. So yeah. So Rabbi Huda, and now we're focused on Rabbi Huda. Kiddush minale. Where does he know you need Kiddush Adayim V'Reglayim? Nafgalei midi Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon. Learns from Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon from the Kal V'Chaimer, from tefillah. That since the whole year you need a Kiddush Adayim V'Reglayim, you don't need tefillah here. Where you need tefillah, of course, you need Kiddush Adayim V'Reglayim. Okay, because he can't use the pasuk of Rabbi because he already used it for tefillah of Uvaharon of Rechatzes B'Sarei B'Mayim.
The rest of the year, you still went to the mikveh, though, right? Before you started.
Not one year,
times, but
and also not when you're switching clothing. So in truth, you only need Kiddush Adayim V'Reglayim once. So yeah, whenever you go into the
first mikveh wasn't in a Kodesh place.
Yeah,
the other
ones also true. The rest of the year, when you start the avodah, you go to the mikveh in the chal,
right, and
you don't need Kodesh. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, whenever you start the avodah, you do need the rest of the year also need to go to the mikveh though. That's right. Fine. So
Amar Avchista.
So Amar. Sorry, I lost the place. Sorry. So Amar Avchista. Yeah. Sorry. Amar Avchista had the Rebbe mafka midi Rebbe Meir mafka midi Rabbanan. This Rav Avchista is actually removed from Rabbi Meir and removed from the Rabbanan, meaning he doesn't hold Rabbi Meir or the Rabbanan, as we'll see. So Mafka mid Rabbanan and the Rabbanan Amri Kishu Lavush Mekadesh. Because the Rabbanan say when he is wearing the begadim, once he has put on the clothing, then he washes hands and feet. V'yu Amar Kishu Paishet Mekadesh. And he learns, and Rabbi, however, learns it from Ufashat v'rachatz and v'rachatz v'lavash, to tell you that according to Rabbi, the order is first you remove the begadim that you're wearing, then you do kisha daim reglaim, then you go to the mikvah, then v'rachatz again, and then v'lavash, then you put on the clothing, which you will do the avodah in. But both times he's doing kisha daim reglaim, he hasn't put on, he's not wearing anything. So, however, the Rabbanan said though, no, the second Tvila at least has to be when you are after you have put on the clothing. And Umafkum Rabbi Meir, and he's also removed himself from Rabbi Meir. He doesn't hold like Rabbi Meir. And the Ilu Rabbi Meir Amar Hach Kiddush Basra Kishu Lavush Mekadesh. This last Kiddush is when you are wearing the begadim. V'yu Amar Kishu Paishet Mekadesh, and he says no, it's when you. Meaning the final one is when you are still wearing the big day Kaddish, and Rabbi says it's once you have removed the begadim, then you are Mekaysh Yadayim V'Reglayim. So question on both ends. Before you take them off, so Rabbi Meir says you do Kish Yadayim V'Reglayim. Rabbi says no, it's after, and also Rabbi says before you put on the clothing you do Kish Yadayim V'Reglayim, and the ones say no, you do it after you put on the next set. So Amar Avacha Bar Yaakov HaKol Moedin B'Kiddush Sheni. In fact, everyone agrees to the second time you do Kiddush Yadayim Reglaim. Shaloi Beish V'Achar Kach Mekadesh. That first you put on the garments and then you wash your hands and feet. So my time, what's the reason? Damar Kra Pasuk says by the Kiddush Yadayim Reglaim in Kisisa, I believe. So I B'Yishtam El HaMizbech, or when you are approaching the Mizbech, you need Kiddush Yadayim Reglaim. So. And the Josh is as follows: Misha ina mechusar elagisha, and someone the one who needs kisha daim reglaim is someone who only is lacking going close to the mizbeach. So someone who wants to get to the mizbeach needs to go have kisha daim reglaim. Yes, said to exclude this person shemechusar levishas vegisha, someone who to do the avodah he not only needs to get close to mizbeach, he also has to put on the begadim first. So such a person he needs. So that person we're not talking about, implying that first you put on the garments and then you do Kish Yadayim Reglaim, and then afterwards you go you can do the avodah. So Amalei Ravacha Beri de Rava Ravashi Lo Rav Chisda Islay de Ravacha Lo Ravacha Islay de Rav Chisda. Ravacha doesn't hold of Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda doesn't hold of Ravacha, and Ravacha doesn't hold of Rav Chisda. Dimkein the Rabbi Havelu Chamesa Kiddushin. If so, according to Rabbi, you'll need 50 because once when you remove your clothing, once right after you go to the mikveh, before you put on the clothing, and once after you put on the clothing, because if everyone agrees after, and you need before also, so every time you go to the mikveh you need 3 times. Okay, so you'll need 15, and everyone agrees you only need 10. So just go on a little bit more. So Haviyu lo yasa tamid, they bring in the tamid kartzu v'chulu. Did the Gemara is going to explain most of the shechita. You have to be very exact with your hands. So my kartzu, what does it mean? Kartzu, what's the what's the implication of the word kartzu? Amar ula lishna katalahu, means you kill it. It means you slaughter it. So Omar of Nachman bar Yitzchak, my crow was a pasuk to say Eglo Yefeifia Mitzrayim, it's literally a beautiful calf. Mitzrayim carrots mitzafayim ba'ava, a slaughter from the north is coming. My mashma, what's implied by the word carrots? Kinematagim Rav Yosef, as Rav Yosef translates it, Malka Yoi have Mitzrayim, it's a nice king in Mitzrayim. Amamin ketoilin mi tzipuna yesun Allah. Yesun Allah. A murderous nation is coming from the north on Mitzrayim. So how much do you have to do the kritza? So Amar Ula B'Rav Shnaim, most of the two, the trachea and esophagus, meaning it has to be a kosher shchita. So you do the bare minimum to have a kosher shchita, and that, but not enough so that he has enough time to grab the keli in order to catch the blood, and then someone else.
Pretty risky.
Yeah, no,
Not to go all the way, just.
It has to be very exact, because you have to do the shchita with your right hand. You have to do the kabbalah with your right hand also.
And the accomplishments of this is to make it easier on the Kohen Gadol?
No, to make
No, because he
to
has to
make
be
it
the
possible.
person. He has to be the person who catches the blood, and he also has to do shchita. How can he do both? The only way, the only way he can do both is that he starts it, and somebody else.
Yeah.
Is that for the first spurt of the blood, or no?
It
It'd be impossible to get the first spurt.
Yeah, no, that's the point, because so, or at least most of it. But
Until it starts.
No, so that's why you can't do that's why you can't do a full shchita, or at least a full amount that he would usually do, because otherwise it comes out too quickly to catch.
So this is the only time that the one that was shaken had to be a couple of them.
Yeah, on Yom Kippur, because the Kohen Gadol do all the avodah himself. So fine. V'chein amar Rav Yochanan and Rav Shnayim, most of the two simanim. Ve'af Reish Lakish Savar B'Rav Shnayim, and also Reish Lakish has a 2, and as we see, Ta'amar Reish Lakish V'chimi Achash Shaninu Ru'ubay Shel Echad Kamayu. Once we said by the Goren Chulin, by the birds, that Raiv of one siman is like it, meaning it's like you shechted the whole thing. Lama Shaninu Raiv Echad Be'ayif Raiv Shnayim Be'Behema. So why do we have to mention? Once we mentioned that Rubai Kekula, that we shecht most of a siman, either trachea or esophagus. So why do you need to tell us the separate halacha by birds and Rav Shnayim by behema? Why do you need to? Why do you have to say it twice? So l'fisha shaninu, because we learned hevi like satamid kartu umerek acher shchita al yadai v'kibel sadam v'zarku. Since we learned in YOMA, right, that Gemara in Chulin quoting our Gemara over here, that they bring in the tamid and he did the shchita and someone else finished it off, and he accepted the blood and he sprinkled it. Yachal loy mirik yehei pasul. You might think that if the other kohen did not finish off the shchita, it would be pasul. So at which point our Gemara asks the question: Yachal loy mirik yehei pasul. Why would you think it's possible? Why do we think it's possible? Imkain havi lo yavoda be'acher. If the avodah isn't kosher with the Kohen Gadol himself, it comes out that another Kohen is actually completing the avodah. And Tanana or Vatanya, it should be Kol avodas Yom Kippurim Einen Kasheros El BAYT. All the avodas of Yom Kippur are only kosher with him, so he has to do the avodah completely. It can't be someone else finishes off the avodah for him. So Gemara says, this is what it means to say. Yachal Yehei Pasul Midir Abanan. You might think it's Pasul Midir Abanan, since you need the blood to come out more. You need the blood. So Lakach Shaninu Raiv Echad Ba'ayif Rav Shnayim B'Behema. So the Rav Shnayim B'Behema is said over as a reference for our Mishnah that all you need are 2 and it's a kosher shchita, even though the blood's not pouring out quickly. So V'chimi Echad Afilu Psula Midei Rabbanan Leka. So once we say it's not even a Psul Rabbanan, Lam Li L'Marik. Why in fact do we need a second coin to make a deeper cut? So Gemara says mitzvah l'mark, it's a mitzvah to make a deeper cut. So what's he adding in? So Rashi actually says, the point is because it's a mitzvah, even though it's not necessary, but it's a mitzvah to have the blood coming out more forcefully.
But it's a separate mitzvah from the shechita itself.
Yeah, I mean it's not an integral part of the avodah. The avodah was finished already. It's just a mitzvah to have it done properly, to have the blood coming out forcefully.